The media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic. And today, the topic is very current as well as very hot. The topic is the menace of drug abuse. It is not the drugs that make a drug addict, it is the need to escape reality. Addiction is a disease that makes you too selfish to see the havoc you created or care about the people whose lives you have shattered. A drug is any substance that causes a change in an organism, philosophy, or psychology when consumed. Drugs are typically distinguished from food and substances that provide nutritional support. Consumption of drugs can be via inhalation, injection, smoking, ingestion, absorption via patch on the skin, or dissolution under the tongue. Psychoactive drugs are chemical substances that affect the function of the central nervous system, altering perception, mood, or consciousness. These drugs are divided into different groups like stimulants, depressants, antidepressants, anxiolytics, antipsychotics, and hallucinogens. These psychoactive drugs have been proven useful in treating wide range of medical conditions, including mental disorders around the world. The most widely used drugs in the world include caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol, which are also considered recreational drugs since they are used for pleasure rather than medicinal purposes. Abuse of several psychoactive drugs can cause psychological or physical addiction. It is worth noting that all drugs can have potential side effects. Excessive use of stimulants can promote stimulant psychosis. Many recreational drugs are illicit, and international treaties such as the Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs exist for the purpose of their prohibition. Drug abuse is use of a drug in amounts or by methods which are harmful to the individual or others. It is a form of substance-related disorder. Differing definitions of drug abuse are used in public health, medical, and criminal justice contexts. In some cases, criminal or antisocial behavior occurs when the person is under the influence of a drug, and long-term personality changes in individuals may occur as well. In addition to possible physical, social, and psychological harm, use of some drugs may also lead to criminal penalties, although these vary widely depending on the local jurisdiction. The pattern of drug abuse in India has undergone changes over the years. Use of drugs like charas, ganja, and opium was a tradition in some places of India where they were mainly used for ritualistic purposes. However, the consumption of hard drugs like heroin and LSD is a relatively new phenomenon. Injection drugs use has also been affecting people. According to a study by the Delhi Commission for Protection of Child Rights on substance abuse by children, 100% of the children in conflict with the law were drug abusers, while 95.5% of them staying in child care institutions were on drugs, and 93% of street children consumed narcotics. The study also states that 88% of the children consume drugs due to peer pressure. Increasing rate of drug addicts is a great menace prevailing in our society, for which the concern and solution is the need of especially our youth, are affecting because of drug addiction. Almost all people know this, but unfortunately, very few among us are able to understand and realize what harm drug addicts do to their families and to themselves by consuming narcotics. They indulged in these activities thinking that they will get rid of their worries and depression. They should realize that by consuming drugs, their problems are not going to decrease, but instead they are inviting more problems. Day by day, the demands of the addicted people increase, due to which they need more money to fulfill them and hence indulge in various illegal activities like robberies, blackmail, murders, etc. People who take drugs lose their sense of judgment and control. Many precious lives are lost because of drug addiction. Sometimes students tend to get into drugs because of their studies or work pressure. Such students are generally alone and away from homes. Therefore, to cope up with all the stress around them, they end up using drugs. Also, students coming from other states find it difficult to cope up in metropolitan cities. It is generally seen that an unemployed youth, out of frustration, ends up in taking drugs. Peer pressure and other psychological factors can cause teens to engage in risky behaviors leading to substance abuse. Youth can get attracted to the glamour attached to the drug taking. Sometimes also out of fun or in order to experiment, a youth ends up in taking drugs. When children see their elders ones consuming drugs, they also try to do the same. People in the lower income group who cannot have an adequate amount of food take drugs to sleep or relax. The cause behind drug menace is the drug cartels and crime syndicates. Rave parties have been reported in the country where intake of narcotic substance is common. These parties are organized by the drug syndicates who have their own vested interests. Social media plays an important role in organizing these parties. The police have not been able to control such parties. Smuggling of drugs in India are through the states which shares the border with neighboring countries. Normal food products like candy, noodles, pan masala and gutka laced with drugs are sold to schools and college students. The Africans as well as the South Asian route being misused to bring drugs into the country. In India, Narcotic Control Bureau was set up in 1986 as Apex Drug Law Enforcement Agency with view to coordinate actions of various central and state agencies in the matters related with drug law in the country. India is signatory to various international drug-related UN conventions, and the responsibility of implementation of the provision of these international conventions also lies with NCB. The National Policy on Narcotic Drugs and Psychoactive Substance is based on the directive principles contained in Article 47 of the Indian Constitution, which direct the state to endure to bring about prohibition of the consumption except for medicinal purpose of intoxicating drugs injurious to health. The government's policy on the subject, which flows from the constitutional provision, is also guided by the International Convention on the subject. And to discuss today on this very important topic, the menace of drug abuse, we have a very elite, experienced, and I can say the authority on the subject. And I would like to invite my first guest. He is Mr. Hariom Gandhi. Mr. Hariom Gandhi is Senior Commandant CISF. Mr. Gandhi was the Zonal Director of Narcotics Drugs Bureau in Gujarat. He was commanded CISF in Unit HE Project URI from November 2008 to 2010 and has also worked across the country in the security forces in various capacities. He holds a master's degree in arts, law, and business administration. Mr. Gandhi has conducted extensive academic research on substance abuse and its effect on work culture. He has participated in various national and international conferences on drug abuse, including new psychoactive substance identification and interdiction organized by United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in South Asia. As part of NCB Healthy Campus and Anti-Narcotics campaign, he has led several motivational sessions with students, teenagers, and young professionals on importance of living a healthy life and abstinence Menace from harmful substances. Welcome, Mr. Hariom Gandhi, on our show. Mr. Gandhi, you have a very wide experience as a zonal director of the Narcotics Bureau in Gujarat. And as I know you well for long, and I have seen so many media reports also that you have done remarkably very, very well at that time. Although I am sure that right now also the NCB is doing well, but so much drugs which were confiscated during your time and the awareness campaign, which was very important, you have done. Now, we would like to know from you the menace of drug abuse. Mr. Hariom Gandhi, please.
Yes, good morning, everybody. And as Mr. Goel has spoken a lot about the genesis of the drug abuse, how it is affecting the society, individual, and everybody. Even the UN report, which every year comes as a format, UNODC published this report. They say around 5% of the world population is consuming drug, and almost 3 lakh people are dying every year. In our country also, we did a research in 2019 by Ministry of Justice and Social Empowerment in accordance with the AIMS was a part of this. So as per their survey, they say 16 crore Indians are consuming alcohol. And out of 16 crore, 5.7 crore people are the problematic and 2.9 crore are the dependent. The same way, if we take the next drug, cannabis is consumed by 3.1 crore people in India itself. And 72 lakh people are problematic user and 25 lakh people are the dependence category. The same thing is happening with the opioid also, where 2.5 crore people are consuming opium, morphine, or heroin kind of the drugs, and 77 lakh people are problematic, and 28 lakh people are dependents. Other drugs are also there, like the inhalants and synthetic drugs. I'm not talking about that, but I just want to reflect the kind of the problem we are facing in our country. Not only in our country, all over the world, the humanity is facing this problem. I remember when I was posted in Gujarat, that time our chief minister was President Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. He called for the drug menace and he said ki we should take some steps. So we started the campaign there called anti-narcotic clubs. Later when he became the prime minister in December 14, 2014, 14 December 2014, in his third Man Ki Baat, he mentioned about the drug-free India, where he called upon everybody and he said, join the hand, because it's a national pain which is causing darkness, devastation, and destruction. And drug is destroying everybody. We have seen lots of Hindi movies like Urta Punjab, Sanju. The problem with the drug abuse is very, very serious. Once we do not realize the person is already there. So let me first talk about what exactly drugs are so that some perception is clear. I would say first, anything which affect our central nervous system by creating a sense of euphoria or by altering it. That is drug. In the category of drug, we are having the several substances like narcotic drugs, where we have the medicinal purpose drugs and other things. Then psychotropic substances, medicinal drug, we have volatile solvent, anesthetics, doping agents, and finally, when we talk about the alcohol and tobacco, that is also drug. Because if we see how drug affect us in three ways. Like first affect is the depressant. When somebody is taking alcohol, for example, alcohol is reducing activity of our central nervous system. That is why it comes in the category of drug. I already mentioned 16 crore people are consuming it. Then second depressant drug is the opium. From opium, we make the morphine. Then from morphine, it becomes the heroin. Even the simple cup syrup contains codeine. This codeine, which is in the cup syrup, is nothing but derivatives of the opium. Opium traditionally used as a medicine in our country or in entire South Asia, but we were never using for the purpose of intoxication. But in 19th century, this problem has gone too much. In Afghanistan, that area we call it the Golden Crescent is producing almost 90% of the illegal opium of the world. That was almost 10,000 ton of the opium. If we see the left side, which is the golden triangle, Myanmar, Laos, and Thailand, that is almost producing 10 to 15% of the illegal opium. Now, if we see our situation, we are just like sandwich. From the northwest, it is pushed through Pakistan, Afghanistan, and by sea route, and from northeast side, it is pushed to the northeast state. And when it comes, it brings lots of misery. It brings narco-terrorism also, because the money which is derived from the illegal opium trade or heroin trade is used for the narcotics. We have seen in the past, wherever the terrorist encounter has taken place, whenever we have caught many people, so arms and ammunitions were also there. At the same time, opium or heroin was also there. That is number one drug, which is the most serious and problematic drug. But the same drug is grown in our country officially, licit production, which is in the three states of our country, that is Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Uttar Pradesh. Almost 63,000 farmers are given license by Central Bureau of Narcotics, but this is entire under control. Everything is calculated. Their entire yield is taken by the government, and government has two factory, Neemach and Gazipur, where they process it and they supply it to the pharma companies, those who make the medicine from this. In some places, there are certain patches where people are growing illegal opium also. So number one drug is opium and its derivatives. Second drug, if we see, which is consumed by the high society, like in the Goa or maybe in the Mumbai or the big city, it's a drug of choice in the America and the Europe. That is made from the coca. Three countries in the world in South America, Peru, Colombia, and Bolivia. They are producing 100% cocaine of the world. I think our youngsters would be watching all those web series, Narcos, where Pablo Escobar and other peoples are there. So this 100% cocaine, which is produced in the South America, is coming from that side through Nigerian people, through West African syndicates. It goes to Europe, it goes to America. The cost of, if you see 1 kg of cocaine in international market is around 5 crore rupees per kg. Even the cost of the pure heroin is almost 3 to 4 crore rupees per kg. So when this cocaine is coming via West African syndicate to our country and Europe and America, this is also causing devastation. In last few years, when our economic growth has taken a good speed, the same way consumption of cocaine also has gone up, which we have seen in past years because seizures were very high. We have caught lots of people with the cocaine in the last years. So that is number two drugs, cocaine, which is made from the coca leaves. Even the viewers, I can see till 1905, Coca-Cola used to have the laces of the cocaine. Later on, it was removed. Now in Coca-Cola, there is no cocaine. And there is no coca also, frankly. Third drug, which is very debated right now, highly consumed all over the world, produced in 172 countries, and India also, I mentioned 3.1 crore people are consuming, that is cannabis. Cannabis, we can understand, traditionally we are using the bhang. Bhang is sold even in the UP, bhang ka theka and all those places. We use during the time of Holi and certain occasions. The leaves of the cannabis plants are the bhang. The flowering top is ganja, or in English we can say marijuana. I think people know it's a marijuana. The third resin of the same plant is called hashish or charas. The chemical which is giving the kick. That is THC, tetrahydrocannabinol. So this particular chemical is responsible for giving us the kick. This is sometimes depressant, sometimes hallucination also. So when people are taking cannabis, what happened with them, especially with the youngsters? Short-term memory loss is there. Later on, aggressive behaviors. Then they don't find anything interesting. If a college student is there, you find a guy was very smart. Then suddenly marks are coming down. He is failing in the class, and lots of issues are happening in the home. So cocaine is a category of the stimulant, like somebody who is smoke. I said tobacco is also a stimulant drug, though it's illegal all over the world. But even though it's legal, we are having the warning on the cigarette packet. Cigarette kills. In India itself, if we see, almost 14 lakh people are uh, dying from the tobacco use. So this is one of the largest, biggest killer. But still, government is giving lots of advertisement through the cinema, even on the cigarette packet. The warning is there. So that is drug which is stimulant. Cocaine is stimulant. The same way there is a methamphetamine, which are the chemical drugs, amphetamine, LSD. There is another drug called LSD, which is a hallucination. We were talking about the three category of the drug: depressant, stimulants. Third is the hallucination. Hallucination is LSD. LSD is totally disturbing our perception. What we are doing, where we are, what exactly is happening, we do not know. And it is so powerful. 1 gram of LSD is sufficient for 1 lakh user. So like this, there are hundreds of the drugs which are banned, which were banned through 1961 single convention on narcotic drugs. Later on, 1971 convention on psychotropic substance act. Everywhere these substances have been banned. But now what people are doing, they are coming up with the new ideas. What are the new ideas? The NPS, new psychoactive substances, which are mimicking the effect of the drugs which are banned. But at the same time, those drugs are not banned. The harms is not less, harm is rather more. So government every year, international community also, every year identify these are the substances which are causing harm to the society, to bring them under control. So this is a game continuously happening where we are banning the things, and there are the user, those who are creating new substances. So what happened now? We have to work on the other aspect. What is the other aspect? We say, let us cut the supply. That is the one part. We are catching the criminal. We are putting them behind the bar. Lots of coordination is happening. But till the time demand is there, this supply cannot be finished. So with this, we started a campaign in Gujarat. I mentioned when our Prime Minister was the CM there. He mentioned that we started anti-narcotic clubs. And in 2014, when he talked about the drug-free India, we started campaign Healthy Campus. We say only saying no to drugs, no to drugs, no to drugs. It is not going to help. Rather, we should keep them involved. It is said now, keep the devil involved, otherwise he will keep you involved. So with this way, we started a six-pointer program. In this, the Clean India part was also there. We say drug-free India start with the Clean India, where you have to clean yourself. Swachh Bharat, then Swasth Bharat, only then when come to the Sudhrad Bharat. So with this campaign, we started healthy living. In the healthy living, what we had, all exercise, good food, no junk food. Akshay Kumar is again the brand ambassador of this campaign where he talks to the people. We were going to the colleges and school. We were creating the committee where students were taking the part, and they were making a calendar of the event for the entire year. Like in our unit here also, we planted around 16,000 trees this year. We are keeping the youth involved, something or other thing, so that a diversion is there in the mind. They are doing some healthy activity, some social activity, activity on the self-esteem, activity on the critical thinking, activity on the social consciousness, so that there is no time left for the drugs and all those nonsense. Yeah. I would say कि this particular campaign has been very successful till now. Though I am not the part of Narcotics Control Bureau now, but in our own capacity, since this call was there for drug-free India, and drug-free India is only possible when we are keeping our youth occupied in different things. So, like we started this in all colleges, a committee part. So, committee was given the responsibility कि you will be making the calendar. So there was a thing, critical thinking. We say ki why a student use the drug. That's a very, very important question. So first there is a peer pressure. Like my son who's going to the college, he comes to me, Papa, all the students are going to the pub. Even the girls are saying, ki Harit, you try this. So I say that what you said. He said, ki, I know this is not good for me. That is why I said no, it's all right. Then he said, then I asked what happened. Then somebody says, okay, bring the chocolate milk. This baby would take the milk. Now you see the pressure on our children, how long they can sustain their peer pressure. So I told him, Beta, say no. Whatever come, whatever happen, say no. So he said no. So next time onward, what happened? Uh, the students were not calling him. Then there was another problem. He said, I'm out of the group because they are not calling me. So I say, there is again serious challenge. I tell you, go there, you take some lemon drink, shikanji or something like this, but you say no only. So that technique work. He goes with them, he enjoy with them, but he doesn't drink. And his friend also have realized there is no use of pushing this guy for beer and some other things. Many a time, what happened? All those web series, they are showing a macho man smoking, taking alcohol, making the weed. So this is are very damaging things. Though all those stars, those who are very healthy in real life, they are not taking. But when I speak to them, ki bhai, why are you showing all those things to our youngsters? They say, sir, what to do? Because the society is doing this. That is why we are showing this. Even the Akshay Kumar in many of the movies, he shows all those drink and vodka, many of the things. But in real life, all of us know he gets up early morning at 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and till 6:30, his breakfast is also finished, and he's on the work at 7 o'clock. So the same kind of the lifestyle, all we should follow. There is no other way, no shortcut. This COVID-19 and the pandemic is really very beneficial in one way that we are looking inward, outward. People are having the homemade food, they are getting up timely, they are sleeping timely. Lots of my known friends have reduced their weight, their cholesterol level has come down, their hypertension also has come down. It is because going to the roots, going to the basics. So this running and imitation of the friend, risk taking behavior, even on the name of relax and enjoy. The relax and enjoy is only smoking, drinking, and the ganja. I tell you, when people start ganja or maybe the tobacco, they don't stop there. We say it's a gateway drug. But later on they say, bhai, ganja hi phukte rahoge. That means you progress, you go to the next drug, opium, and there is no return back. Even people, those who are addicted to this, they realize no, there is no way to come back. When they go for the rehab, it has been found. They come back to the society, to the group of the student, and they start again. So this is a kind of a cycle which very difficult. So I would like to stop here, and Mr. Goel, you can.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Hariom Gandhi, for giving in details about the menace of drug abuse. And he has very clearly mentioned everything in detail, like how the drugs, what we mean about the drug, what types of drugs, what are the side effects or the direct effects on the human body or the society or the country, as well as he has mentioned how the government of India is trying their best to control it, and how we as a civil society should also come forward and try to control it, especially the youth, After all, they are also our children, and if we will not control them, then who is going to control? So Mr. Gandhi has given a very, very descriptive information about the drugs, and I'm sure our viewers are quite enlightened by this. Now, thank you very much, Mr. Hariom Gandhi, for giving such a enlightening talk today. I would like to now invite my next guest, and he is Dr. Thomas Karia. Dr. Thomas is the director of EcoLink Institute of Wellbeing, Mangalore. He is the director of AutominMind.com. He is the founder director of Link De-Addiction Center, Mangalore. He has done doctorate in counseling and psychology. He is internationally certified addiction counselor level 2 with certification from Global Center for Credentialing and Certification GCCC UK and Colombo Plan. Also, as a journalist, he was awarded the Best Reporter of the Year 2000 by an international Asian news agency. One of his recent reports on Easter Sunday bombing in Sri Lanka was rated among top 10 reports in United States in 2019. Written and published nearly 800 news articles and features on various issues in electronic and print media. Authored a book on the impact of alcoholism on the poverty condition of the daily wages earner. Welcome, Dr. Thomas, on our show. Dr. Thomas, you have heard Mr. Hariom Gandhi's views. He has given in details about the drugs, the use of drugs, and the initiative the government of India is taking, or the other state governments are taking, and how the civil society has to come forward to see to it that the drugs will not be used by the youth especially. Now, we would like to know from you the menace of drugs abuse. Dr. Thomas Karia, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Goel. Good morning, everybody. And thank you, Mr. Hariom Gandhi, also for the very elaborate introduction to the topic. Of course, today's topic is about the menace of drugs. So let me just start with from where drugs come from. Hariom Gandhi was saying it's coming from Golden Triangle, Golden Crescent and all. But my angle is different. See, this is almost all the drugs come from our mother nature. Like, for example, you look at nicotine. Nicotine comes from tobacco. Caffeine comes from coffee plants. Cannabis comes from ganja plants, no? Or what do you call? The marijuana from ganja plants. And opium or heroin is coming from poppy plants. And our beloved alcohol is coming from all the fruits and vegetables and decompose and things like that. And even the drugs, the medicines, they also have its natural sources. It comes from the nature. So what I mean to say is that what has been given to us by the mother earth or mother nature for our positives have been converted into something very destructive because of our lust or our thirst for pleasure. So when the beautiful stuffs given to us by the nature, when we abuse it, or when we use it for our pleasure, it becomes a menace. And that's exactly what I think what Goel is trying to also now bring it to our attention, that the drug menace which is affecting our society. Mr. Gandhi has very well pointed out how it is actually affecting the very stream of our society, even the youth. And then when we look at this, I don't think I need to give any more big introduction about that, but still a few things which I have thought about as an introduction to what I really want to say. In addiction, we always pass through the three stages. We pass through use, and we pass through abuse, and then addiction. And use is, of course, it is positive. Abuse is, of course, it is not, like for our other than for medical purposes. When we take it, becomes abuse. And addiction is a dependency. Once you come to that stage, as Mr. Gandhi says, even if we want to come back to it, it is not that easy, because we get physically and psychologically bound by, enslaved by that particular substance. Now, when we speak about drugs, drug and addiction and things like that, now, of course, the new thinking is actually towards a different term, like no substance use disorder. They say that people don't start taking drugs for its negatives. Most of them start taking drugs for its positives. They think they can do better, they can perform better, they can mingle with their friends better, they can enjoy the music better, and the friends are doing, so I am doing. So everybody get into it not because of their frustration. They get into it because they think there is something new, no, something which we can make us different. We can make our life better, like no. So many young people are carried away by that sort of a thing. Now we have got legal drugs and illegal drugs. That is also another beautiful thing which we need to know. Alcohol and tobacco and all, no, we always say it is a legal drug because it is available in our open market, and it also brings a revenue to the government. No, it gives tax, but it doesn't mean legal drugs are safer and illegal drugs are not safe. Both are same. And even if we see the latest world report, which was published by UNODC in June 26, they say almost there are no 30, that 360 million, I mean 36 million people who are affected by drugs in the world. And they also don't include alcohol and tobacco in that. No, when UNODC reports are all about other than alcohol and tobacco. And even about the alcohol, I saw a report, there are around 3 million people die of alcohol related problems in the world, not in India, like in the world, due to various ailments related to alcohol. And almost 8 million people die because of tobacco related thing. When we really compare it with our pandemic situation of the COVID, this is much more a bigger pandemic than any other nothing which is actually we are facing like COVID now. And now when we ask young people, how did you get into it, and what has been your thoughts when you every addicts, I have been working in this field for almost 30 years. Everyone when we ask them, say, why did you know you knew that there are problems related to it, but still you started with this? Why? Then they say that we never thought we will become addicted. That is why everyone start taking it not to become addicted, because they think they can stop at any time. Even cannabis, for example, everybody say we can stop, there is no withdrawal symptom, no physical withdrawal. This is something when we are studying, no, we can have it like. But as Gandhi was saying, it always acts as a gateway drug. Once you get into the world of drugs, they are they graduate, like no, they graduate into something else. Maybe they will get into the heroin or brown sugar. We don't get pure heroin here because he was saying around 3 crore and all for 1 kg, who can afford that? So they mix it with so many other dangerous things, and which is available in Indian market called brown sugar. It is much more dangerous thing, like even cocaine. I was thinking for a long time it is not a big problem in India, but when we hear about the seizures by NCB, like no, it gives a very warranted picture that India is also it's growing like Western world in a big fancy, like no, cocaine is even available here. And classifications you all have mentioned. We have stimulants, the party drugs, no, like MA, MD and all. In one shot you can get MA and no, MDMA. You can get MD and MA. No, they get everything together in one shot. So people are attracted to that, no, the mushrooms, and then ecstasy, LSD and things, that kind of things are very common among the youngsters in the parties, no, like Mr. Goel was mentioning about the rave parties and all like that. And in the depressants, we have got alcohol mainly and diazepam and things like that. And opiums also. Opiates are actually, that also it decreases the central nervous system. Painkillers, basically. It was used as a medicine initially, and now, no, it's converted into heroin and things like that. So why I mean to say all these things are, we have a huge problem around us, but very less solutions. Sometimes we sensationalize the thing. We speak about this like, all, but actually speaking, the world is finding it very difficult to fight this menace. Millions of dollars are being spent by almost all these developed countries, but they don't know why and how they can really control. The other day I was in the world report, I was reading also, they say the population increases by 10% in last 10 years, but drug use disorder increases by 30%. It is jumping. It is going beyond all limits in spite of all the efforts by all the governments and UNODC and Colombo Plan and all the agencies. And we sometimes don't know even the result, the treatment result. If we say the drug users, not even 20% of them really come to the treatment center for treatment. Whatever efforts we make, not even 20%. And if 20% come for treatment also, the possibility of recovery is again 20% of that 20%. Means we are really helping maybe 5 or 6 out of 100 people through treatment. But even then, we don't have sufficient professionals in the field to cater to the treatment of, because we have all different ideas. We think alcoholism is a moral weakness. We think drug addicts are people who are irresponsible in society. They don't know anything else. They don't want to be productive. So they're all funny ideas we have, and we don't want to put our hands into that. So we have very less qualified professionals working in the field. That is one lacuna which we are facing. Now, in fact, I personally, through my institute, what we are trying is to train maximum number of professional addiction professionals, so that they can reach out to more people and more people can get help. And then when we compare this addiction treatment result, we will pause, we all will be stunned to see that it is not an answer to the situation. What is very important is prevention. And that's what Mr. Gandhi was saying by starting anti-drugs clubs, like they in the schools, in the colleges, drug-free colleges and things like that. In 1991, even I started a students movement like in Mangalore called Link Anti-Addiction Group. So that's the only thing which is feasible, prevention. Once they become addicted, it is very difficult to bring them out of it. But we all can work in the field of prevention. It doesn't need big professionals. So everybody can work. The media can work. The clergy can work. The social workers can work. The politicians can do in that, and the youth leaders can do. So what is important is a willpower, a sort of a willingness to do that particular part. So even for universal treatment curriculum and universal prevention curriculum, there are two curriculums we are actually running. I'm not just advertising my thing, just let people, if anybody is interested, can also contact me, and that's why I'm telling that. So let us all work together to prevent the menace, and those people who are already into it, instead of blaming anybody, let us try to also reach out to them and help, because they thought they will not become addicted. Everybody, that's why we have doctors who are addicted, we have engineers who are addicted, we have literates who are addicted, who are uneducated people, all types of people are into addiction, because all of them thought it is not for me, I won't get addicted, so I got into it. So let us try to bring out some sort of a solution from all our thing, from NCB and from legal side, from treatment side, from prevention side. And that's my message to the youth for today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thomas, for giving the views about the drug abuse. And he is very clear, and he says, whatsoever we are trying our best to de-addict the person, but the thing is, once you are addicted, it's very, very difficult to bring you back. And that is why he insists on the prevention. He says the prevention is better than cure. And that is only possible if we all, whether it's illegal or whether it's political or the civil society, all have to come together and try to create that type of atmosphere in the society, so that youth, especially the youth, will not go in that direction of consuming the drugs. And he has given all the details of the drugs, and he endorsed what Mr. Ariom Gandhi has said, that this menace has to be stopped, otherwise it's increasing many folds, in even far more than even the increasement of the population. Thank you very much, Dr. Thomas, for giving your such a enlightening views. I'm sure our viewers who have listened to you as well as Mr. Ariom Gandhi have now got the fair idea what harm this particular thing can do, the substance can do, the drugs can do. And it is not only for the youth, even for the senior citizens or those who are adults, they should also understand that because I have seen personally many families where they encourage the young children to consume alcohol, just to see to it that they will be like in a social society, that they are leading in the society, they are social animal or something like that. But that is bad. If you will not control, if you will not tell the youth or the children about the side effects of this particular drugs, then you are not doing any good service even for your own children. Thank you very much, Dr. Thomas, for giving your views. Now I would like to invite our next guest, and he is Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma. Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma is the chairman of Gyan Deep Shiksha Bharati Senior Secondary School, Mathura. He is a leading civil lawyer of Western UP. He is appearing in Supreme Court and High Courts, apart from the district courts. He is dealing exclusively in civil and some special matters wherever his opinions are required. He is rendering social service and connected with many institutions. He is founder, secretary of Civil Lawyers Forum and president thereafter. He always participates in social activities. Welcome, Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma on our show. Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma, you have heard what Mr. Hariom Gandhi as well as what Dr. Thomas has spoken before you. And they have given all the details about how the drugs are coming to India, how the drugs are even means cultivated in India, because according to Dr. Thomas, it's a mother earth or the nature earth, which is providing us the drugs. This is on our thinking on our part that we are misusing it. If you will use it properly, then this is a very good thing, but we are misusing it. But we would like to know the legality or the legal aspects, because recently this narcotics department, especially in Maharashtra and especially in Mumbai, is in limelight. For good or bad, that is, we can't comment. But we would like to know what is the reality as far as the legality is concerned in India. So the menace of drug abuse, Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma, please.
Yeah, Mr. Goel. First, I would like to congratulate you for organizing such webinars which are actually educating the public at large and our society. And this is the requirement of the time. You are fulfilling it. We are thankful to you. Now, coming to the topic, much has been said by you yourself. And thereafter, much has been said by Mr. Gandhi very extensively on the topic, and Dr. Thomas also. The only thing which remain, I think, is the legal aspect, as you have said. Drugs are also having their potentiality of medical use, scientific use, and industrial use also. That is why the cultivation or manufacturing of the drugs or their trading cannot be prohibited completely. Government has enacted NDPS Act, it is the Act of 1985, to control and regulate the trade, cultivation, and consumption of drugs. It is not a complete prohibition because of drug is very much permissible to be cultivated or traded for scientific and medical uses under a license issued by the government, as Mr. Gandhi has already explained. The terms of license are very much strict, they should be, and so many violations of the terms of license have been made especially punishable. Anyway, that is a separate thing. Now coming to the act, this act is having a different type of applicability. Generally, every statute starts that this act will be applicable to the whole of the nation, to the whole of the India, or to all the citizens of the India. But this act starts that it will, number one, it will apply to the whole of India. Then number two, it will apply to all the citizens of outside of India. That's a new thing. If a citizen of India is not here at this time, he is outside the country and he is involved in some illegal activities, illegality in accordance with the NDPS Act, then it is also punishable and he is triable under the provisions of this act, though he is not residing and he is not committing that offense within India. This is a new thing. Then another new thing is this act also applies to all the persons boarded on ships or aircraft registered in India. So if any passenger is boarded on an aircraft, the passenger may be a foreigner, but the aircraft is registered in India or a ship is registered in India, passenger is foreigner, that foreigner is also covered with the provisions of this act. All such provisions are generally not with other statutes, but this is a special statute, and this is the applicability of this statute is very wide. We have made it very wide. We have gone beyond the nation. We have gone beyond the citizenship also. We have also covered the foreigners. We have also gone beyond the limits of our country. Then coming to the prohibition. The prohibition has been made for cultivation, purchase, sale, manufacturing, transportation, store, use, consumption, import and export, except for medical and scientific or industrial use under a license issued by the government. So everything has been prohibited except under a license. And that too, the license can only be given for the scientific reasons, research purposes, medical use, or industrial use. Now, coming to the offense side, everything has been made specifically punishable. Every contravention has been made specifically punishable. Thereafter, one very interesting provision is that any contravention of any of the provisions of the Act, its rules, or any government order issued under this Act, or any term of any license not made specifically punishable shall also be punishable. So nothing has been left. Every violation of every provision of Act, rules, government orders, that is GOs, and the terms of the license have been made punishable. Thereafter, if a person has committed some offense under this Act and he has been convicted, he is under bail on some appeal or something else, or if he is committing another offense under this statute, then that penalty goes up to the death sentence, which is very rare, but which was very much requirement of the time. If the person is become so habitual that he has been once convicted, in spite of that he is committing the second or third offense in the same statute, so death penalty is also there. Then another thing is there, that any property which has been purchased out of the income of the drug abuse is also liable to be confiscated, and prohibition is that such property cannot be possessed or transferred by any person. Generally, other acts are there with regard to punishment also, but such provisions are not there. Import and export, that is, it is important aspect outside the India. That is, if an Indian citizen is there and he is committing this offense outside of India, he is also equally punishable, though he is not in India. But as the offense is very much covered by this statute, he has to be bring to the courts of the India under the provisions of this Act. So all these provisions have made very enlarged scope of this Act, and it was necessary for an actual prohibition or actual implementation of the law. Otherwise, there may be so many loopholes which may be beneficial to the persons having the illegal trade of these drugs. So government has tried its best to control the things, to prohibit the illegal traffic of these drugs to any extent, in spite of the fact that the offense is not being committed in the country, in spite of the fact of offense is not being committed by our citizens, they have been made specifically punishable. So all these things are especially, then this Act says that the cases of under this Act are to be tried by a court which is called the special court, and every district shall have a special court to conduct all the cases under the NDPS Act, so that they may be decided earliest possible. Possession of every drug, that's the important aspect. It presumes that the offense has been committed, and the burden has been shifted to the accused to disprove his action, that I have not committed any offense. So the burden of proof has also been specifically shifted, and the presumption is that the drug has been got recovered from that any particular person, then he shall be deemed to have committed the offense. Now he has to disprove it, because of generally in IPC and all other acts, the burden of proof is always lies on the state to prove the offense. But in this Act, it is just opposite. The accused has to prove it. So these are all the specialties which this Act is having, and the purpose is that anyhow we could able to control the misuse of the drugs. But unfortunately, as Mr. Gandhi and Mr. Dr. Thomas has said, till today we are unable to control the misuse of these drugs. Rather, the extensive misuse is there. It is increasing. and our youth is adversely affected, it requires something more than the specific act. Therefore, what I mean to say, it requires some social education. In our education system, something may be added so that we can bring our youth separate or against these drugs. Unless some education system is there and our family is not managing something to teach, as Mr. Gandhi has said with regard to his son, so we should adopt such things to in every family. So not only the law, but the society and the education system is also required to prevent all these things. That is my first part.
Okay, thank you very much, Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma, for giving the legal aspect of the drugs. And you have made very specifically what are the stringent laws which the government of India has created and made for the so that the drug misuse can be done, but stopped. But it is not stopped, but rather it is increasing day by day. That is a very sad part. But anyways, the government's work is to enact the laws. It depends on how the enforcement agencies as well as the civil society is going to react and act on those laws and see to it that the punishment delivered so fast, then only the people will have a fear. Now, thank you very much, Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma, for giving your legal aspects. Now, I would like to ask Mr. Hariom Gandhi. Mr. Hariom Gandhi, you said in your in opening remarks that in India, it's coming from the, like Dr. Thomas has also mentioned, from the Mother Earth. Why we cannot have, according to you, the license were given for the use in industrial or medicinal or scientific purposes. Why we are not creating such type of zones specifically, like we have SEZ zones, specific economic zones, where we are allowing people to bring anything from abroad and export after the value addition? Why not we have the specific zones only for the cultivation of these particular plants, which are going to create the drugs, make the for the use of the drugs, manufacturing of the drugs, and that will be under totally control by the government, not by giving the licenses. Now, tell me how even law enforcement agencies are there. If suppose somebody is having 100 quintal or 10 quintal of the produce, and out of which if he takes out 500 grams or say 5 kg or even 100 kg, how anyone can check? Mr. Hariom Gandhi, please.
Yeah, I told you, okay, responsibility of giving the licenses lies with the Central Bureau of Narcotics. That is the one part. They entirely check the area, measure the area, and fix the yield also per acre. That means they have to give that kind of the yield, number one. Number two, the enforcement part is not only with the Central Bureau of Narcotics, enforcement part is with the police, Narcotics Control Bureau, Excise Department, in the DRI is also there, Custom is also there. So many agencies have been given the enforcement power of NDPS Act 1985. Even the act is also very clear. People, those who are violating the norm, they are also liable to be punished for 10 year to 20 year of imprisonment. As far as the area and the zone is concerned, already that zone is very clear. Mandsaur, Neemuch, the area which is the opium cultivation area, only that area is the licit farming. Using the word licit farming, a proper control is there. But you are absolutely right. Sometimes there might be exception when people are siphoning off little amount of this, but lots of seizures are happening in that area also, where people are caught by doing this. That is number one, related with the opium. Second part, which is another serious part, that is the cultivation of cannabis. Cannabis cultivation, it's a wild growth all over the world basically. Whether you go to the hill or any Jharkhand, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Northeast, Himachal, Kashmir also, where on the large, higher hills we have the charas is there, which has got from cannabis only. Every year, Government of India, with the help of ISRO, mapping the entire country, they are finding the illicit cultivation. Task force are formed where central government, state government, they make that and they do the destruction. And after doing the destruction, everything is recorded. That's a system is there. It is like the system is not there. System is there. But even after having the system, like you are having a farmhouse, for example, and if you cultivate something in your farmhouse, we cannot reach everywhere. Police cannot reach everywhere in every household. The same way, lots of parcels are going from the country and coming to the country. Uh, right now, like Bitcoins are there, digital currency is there. You order something from the Europe, you will be getting at your home. So when lakhs and the lakhs of the parcel are coming, it is humanly impossible to see the content of each and every parcel. And many a time, those things are not coming as a pure drug. They come as a vitamin, sometimes health tonic, sometimes syrup. So they conceal it, they camouflage it. So it is easier said done. Of course, theoretically, it should not have been. But the practical aspect is like this: in spite of having all those enforcement agencies, everything in the control, things are happening. You are right. But my point is again coming back to the same thing. Unless we reduce the demand, unless we make a system in the schools at home, I would say be the role model for your kids. I'm sure when we are having a party and we are consuming alcohol and we are smoking, then we say to our child, yeah, beta, cigarette is not good for you. Alcohol is not good for you. Will he follow it? He will go advance. He will say, Father, you are taking only beer, I'll go and have the whiskey. And you are taking smoking, I'll take the ganja. If you are having the ganja, I'll go for the higher drug, like the party drugs. My concern, serious concern, is about the daughters. Like in the big cities, they are going to the pubs and the discotheques with their friends. And you never know, somebody is putting something in their drink. It is called date rape drugs. They do not realize what exactly has happened to them. Memory is lost. Even the trace of the drug also comes out within 24 hours. So those are the serious issues. I'm sure the more we talk about the government, the more we talk about the enforcement, even like Sharma sir told, there is a death penalty. Yes, it's a death penalty. The act is so tough, no chance of escape. You would have seen even the Bollywood people are caught. Nobody is escaped from the NDPS Act. But in spite of that, like Dr. Thomas told, ki 30% number have increased, 10% population has increased. This means it shows a serious problem at home. I start from the home only. Unless we tell our children this is bad and it is not accepted at all, if we don't do in the beginning, later on, I'm telling you, they will not be coming our control. We will be only cursing, oh, our son has gone out of our control. We will be going to de-addiction center and counseling. Even that also does not work. Like Dr. Thomas says, only 5% of the people are coming back from the problem. And most of the de-addiction center, I'm sure, would not be capable to treat a person because they do not know many a time which kind of the drug they are taking. Like Dr. Thomas again says, heroin, we are not getting the pure heroin. We are getting the brown sugar, which is almost 90% adulterous. And the kind of the mixing or cutting is done, we do not know. There might be mixing with the alprazolam, might be sleeping pill. So dealing with that kind of the drug and that its effect is very difficult. So coming back to your question, making a zone, absolutely, the idea is already implemented by the government. Now the next part, some of the governments are also going to allow cannabis cultivation for the medicinal purpose, because around the world this demand is going up. We should allow medicinal marijuana for the cancer patient as a painkiller. I would say one has to be very careful while allowing the marijuana and the cultivation of it, because unless it is controlled properly, we will find it is sold everywhere at the panka galla, nukkad, the shops. So we will be in the serious problem. If we allow something, we should control it properly. Mr. Goel, you are absolutely right. Controls are very important. Right now, our kids are getting information through the web series, through the Google, and entire world is before them. They are mimicking them. They are saying, "Oh, European kids are doing this. Americans are doing this. They have made cannabis allowed. So what is wrong with this?" So I want to tell to our youth: see the reports properly. Go to the WHO research. They are absolutely clear. Cannabis consumption has not been proved beneficial for the normal human being. It might be beneficial for the patient. So the thing which is good for the patient should not be used by a normal person. Opium is also good. Opium is also a medicine, but it is good for the person who is suffering with the pain. The same thing with the cannabis. Cannabis is good. The THC, that is the CBD component. I want to make it clear. Tetrahydrocannabinol is a creating euphoria. Then CBD, that is tetrahydrocannabinol, that is good for the painkiller. So use those substances for the good purpose, avoid them for the bad purpose. So I think
Okay.
anything you want to
Avoid them for the bad purpose. Thank you very much, Mr. Hariom Gandhi. I will come back to you again. Now, my question goes to Dr. Thomas. Dr. Thomas, you said the alcohol, and Mr. Gandhi has also said the alcohol and tobacco. Then what is the use? We are just printing on a 60% or 66% or whatsoever percentage on the cover of the cigarette that it kills and it create cancer and whatnot. Do you think it works? Anybody sees that warning? Is it a correct step which we are taking, or altogether we should ban, or money is more important than the health of our youth? Because you know, in the COVID-19, what happened? That the first thing which was opened by the government was the alcohol shops, and there were long queues because to earn money. So if it is so, then why we require all these NCBs, etc.? We must say we want money. Our government says we are purpose for to earn money. We are not bothered whether our youth are going to hell. Let them go to hell. Let them consume drugs, alcohol, tobacco, whatsoever. We want money. Otherwise, why this double standard? Dr. Thomas, please.
Yes. If we ask young people about why you got into drugs or cannabis or whatever, I think the first answer is curiosity. Like, because someone says don't take it, so he has all the more curious and sort of a thrill to experiment that. So if you try to curtail certain things, I mean, you block it or you ban it or you prohibit it, people will find out some other means to get into that world, because that is how especially the young people, like you tell them don't do, then they will do it. So we need to also definitely work out strategies from a different angle. Like, it is by curtailing the availability is not the only way that we can actually, make a drug-free India. So we need to think about positives, like, as some of you have mentioned, yeah, planting the trees and things like that. People should feel comfortable and adventurous to do something more creative, which gives them more kick than getting into this destructive world. So we are not going to, ban or prohibit things which are there, because even if that is why the Mother Earth has given us all this stuff. Like, it is there. So there is no point in we closing our eyes and say that no, it is not there. It is there. So I think what I would definitely agree with Mr. Gandhi and Sharma about the prevention from a positive angle. Creatively involve the youth in creative activities, like adventure or sports, or like even visiting other countries or knowing about other cultures, ecotourism. There are so many areas youth can be actually positively channeled. Many people take drugs. You know why? Because I don't get acceptance in my group. If I don't take drugs, they will call me Gandhi, not Hariom Gandhi. Okay. So they are put down, no, that you don't belong to this century. What are you speaking? So that kind of a thing. So because others are doing, I am also doing. Because my friends are into it, I also have to. Otherwise, I don't get that identity in that group. That new generation sort of a thinking is always like that. I need an identity. I need acceptance. I need care from others. To get all those things, I make all these adjustments. I get into the world of drugs. I go for evening party. I mean, Saturday parties. If I don't go, I'm not in that group. If I'm not in that group, I don't belong to any other group. I belong to 16th century group only. That type of a feeling is there among the, especially among the young people. So what is important is give them positive alternatives, appreciate them for their capacities, their abilities, their talents, and promote that, like as in the sports or in any innovations or anything like that. They need appreciation, they need identity. So the moment people get that, they don't feel the need for getting into all these destructive areas. So I think we have to think about that kind of avenues. Even treating and saving a person is, it's almost, it is not possible at all. It's very difficult. We have around 400 de-addiction centers funded by the government of India through the Ministry of Social Justice, and a lot of hospitals by Ministry of Health is having this de-addiction centers. But with all these things also, actually we are only like in a tip in the ocean. Like very few people we are helping, not many people are being helped. So what is important is something like a movement of people, a movement involving youth, parents, teachers, government officials, everybody together, sort of a mass movement, which will reinforce the positive capacities and talents and like the identity of the people in a very different way. Then they will think, why should I go for these parties? Why should I have this alcohol to keep me okay in my, I get my boost otherwise, I mean my kick from my friends in a positive way. So that's my sort of a
Okay, okay. Thank you, Dr. Thomas, for giving your views. Now, my question is to Advocate Sharma. Advocate Sharma, Mr. Hariom Gandhi as well as Dr. Thomas are emphasizing on awareness. And I know, as being the chairman of Organ Donation India Foundation, awareness is not doing anything. We are losing more than 5 lakhs people for wants of organ every year in India. We are trying our best. We are not controlling it. People are dying. While in UK, although it's 1/20th of India, there are only 400 deaths in last year for want of organ. I mean, last year means 2018, 19, sorry, 19. Why? Because they are having the laws, such type of things. In India, now you talk about death penalty. My first question to you is, how many people got the death penalty in drugs? One. And secondly, why we are talking about this penalties, etc.? Because recently I read in the media, there was a high court judgment, I think Bombay High Court judgment, which says that a statement given in front of the NCB is not admissible in the court of law, and you have to take the weight of the paper, because if the 10 gram is the permissible limit, whether you have taken the weight of the paper included or excluded. So there are lots of loopholes. You said there are special courts, how much time it takes, and misuse of law. We have seen in the name, I can name the person, I have no, in the Riha Chakravarti case, the Bombay High Court passed a very stringent order in that, said that it was framed. She was not involved. Whether a person, if suppose somebody is having a drug addict in the house, and if he or she, the parent or somebody or relative, just ask for the drugs to be procured, as whether the procurer is also going to have the same punishment as the drug addict, as well as the supplier? Yes, of course. So my point is, when such type of laws are not there, when we can't enforce the law, you see the Middle East, the condition there, if anybody is found with a drug, they are not going to leave. And that's why the drug menace is very less in that area. Why not in India? Either our law enforcement agencies are weak, as Mr. Gandhi has mentioned, that there are so many agencies involved. And we know when there is a when there is a cocktail of so many agencies, what is happening? Why I can very well say, why CISF is brought to the airports? Security, why not the local police? Because government knows the local police cannot handle, because they are under the influence of the local people. Similarly, when the big wigs are involved, you know, without the blessings of big wigs, these drugs cannot come in India. And I remember one of the a young opposition leader has mentioned that the 70% of the population in Punjab is drug addict. Now, what do you say about the legality, Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma?
Yeah, Mr. Goel, this is correct that complexity of the law is there. As Mr. Gandhi and Dr. Thomas has said, that there are so many agencies involved in implementation. And when there are much more agencies, then one may think that let the other agency do it. And the factum of carelessness creates. It may be implemented through one agency. That's a separate thing. But as you have mentioned in an example of the case of Riya Chakravarti, if we see the law that this bringing and drug to a addict person in the family or in the house, it amounts to a abetment to consume the drug, and it is equally punishable in that. I am not consuming it. I am simply bringing it to the one person in my house. This is equally punishable. So that is the law. But in our country's problem is, as you have just asked from Mr. Thomas, that alcohol and smoking, these all things have been permitted for the sake of revenue. This aspect is very much there, but government has to make a balance in between the need of the public and the revenue of the government. Suppose if we completely ban the alcohol, as some of the states is there at Gujarat, Bihar, and some other states, but actually if we see, the alcohol is being used in Gujarat and Bihar also. It cannot be prohibited or checked actually and completely. It may be prohibited in law, but cannot be prohibited actually. If once we are unable to make it actual application, then it is better to raise some revenue out of it. Then second aspect is that alcohol and smoking, and I use bhang also, these are very less quantities permissible and not much adversely affected things. The drugs which are much adversely affected, they have been completely disapproved by the government, banned by the government. As these drugs, these are also drugs, they are not much adversely effective, so they have been made available to the public on certain payment of the revenue. So both things are there. Complete prohibition is not possible because of we are actually unable to completely prohibit it. So better to have a revenue, together with better to have something available to the society also. That is also one of the aspects of the case.
Okay, Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma, politically you have not given me the answer. When the big wigs are involved, without the blessings of big wigs, can you think, anyone can think, this is such a big trade. People are minting money out of it, and they are not bothered for
Yes,
the...
Mr. Goel, every illegal act is being protected by big ones. Every legal act, not only this drugs.
Okay.
Every legal act is being protected.
Okay, thank you, Advocate Sharma. You have given the answer. Now, Mr. Hariom Gandhi, you mentioned about that how to keep youth busy, and you have done that work in. Can you just elaborate how we can? Because the problem with the youth is, if they are busy nowadays more than us, they are always on WhatsApp and Facebook and whatnot. But how to make them busy so that they will not divert towards this particular disease, the drug disease? I term it as a disease. That is disease. It's not a something healthy. So how we can do it as a parent or as a officer? What suggestion you want to give to the parents and even to youth so that they will be away from the drug? Mr. Hariom Gandhi, please.
Yeah, I would like to say first one thing that we should come out from this discussion ki who's at fault. Rather, we should come to a point ki what we can do. That is number one. A person who's smoking, he should know where tobacco is produced. Around that field, there is no fence. no animal, no bird in this planet eat tobacco. So what we are doing, they are smart, animal are smart, insects are smart, birds are smart, they are not taking tobacco. God has sent us with a beautiful vehicle which shelf life is more than 100 years. But the responsibility of keeping it healthy, physically healthy, mentally healthy, and spiritually healthy lies with us only. We are the responsible. If we are destroying it by taking the poison, I'm using the word poison. Somebody is selling the poison and you are buying it by paying 5 crore rupees per kg. Whose fault it is? I want to ask number one thing. Second part, unless we take care of ourselves by doing physically fitness activities, good food, good thought, nobody can do it. All the education, like I mentioned, like Dr. Thomas mentioned, it's really required at the school level, at the college level, at the social level, where they are constantly make aware, don't do this, otherwise your health is spoiled. Sometime we were talking about the cigarette packet, about the 80% of the advertisement. I tell you that has worked world over. Number of person, those who are smoking, their number percentage wise has come down. That come down. So I'm 100% sure education, involvement, participation that will play a very important role. Otherwise, you ban one drug today, they will start another things. During pandemic, we have seen very clearly when the supply was not there because everything was locked down. No air flight was taking, no ship was running, no bus, no train. But still, people were consuming whatever they were getting, and that was more dangerous. So I would say, stay healthy, stay away from drugs, enjoy your life without drug free. That is what my message to the youth.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hariom Gandhi. And yes, what you have said, one point is very, very clear that we require moral education, not only at the beginning or the school level, but even in the graduate and postgraduate level also, so that the students or the youth should be educated morally what is good, what is bad. Thank you very much, Mr. Gandhi, for giving your views. Now, my same question goes to Dr. Thomas. Dr. Thomas, any suggestion which you want to give to the government and any advice to the public at large, especially the youth?
Uh, yeah, recently I heard that India is on a move to support a move by the UN to declare marijuana as a medicine and then to legalize maybe to a certain extent. India supported that, I think, but I think that was not a very healthy move. Of course, as Gandhi was also saying, like some people, you the tobacco use has come down in Western countries tremendously, definitely because of the education, because of the among the educated class of people, it worked. But so that is very much important. But also we should be very careful in playing with the marijuana, though it looks a very simple thing, but it is a gateway drug, definitely. So that shouldn't be done. And then we also have to consciously try to promote prevention activities. No, the government spends a lot of money on treatment, no doubt about that. But prevention, I think they still not being able to really grant funds to NGOs or people who can do and all. So that kind of very deliberate prevention programs among the students, colleges should take place. For that also some encouragement should be given from the government. And then of course we need to also train more and more addiction professionals who can really understand the disease concept of addiction and try to treat them with dignity and respect and then care. So that is not there in many de-addiction centers. I have seen they are being treated like sort of a culprits, like people who are not normal people,
Okay.
antisocials, like it's not correct. So those
Okay.
are some of the
Okay.
things which I.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Thomas. Now, Advocate Sharma, your suggestion to government and advice to public. Be brief.
Yeah, Mr. Goel, as I have said earlier, Mr. Gandhi has also said that in our education system, it is required to incorporate some lessons at teen level, teenagers. And that too, in a way, it is important, as Mr. Gandhi and Mr. Thomas has also said. It may not attract the youth in the way like that these are the demerits of drugs. Drugs are having adverse effect to your health, to your life, in the way so that they may not be attracted to the drugs.
Okay.
It should be there.
Okay, thank you very much, Advocate Sharma. So today you have seen the menace of drug abuse. All our speakers, our panelists, our guests have given their views, but main emphasis is the responsibility lies with the civil society, me and you. Why we are depending on the government? After all, the youth belongs to us, that they are our own children. If we are not bothered for them, who is going to take care of them? We always pass our bucks to the government. We always want to follow the Western society, but we forget our own culture, and our own old culture never promote that we must go for such type of activities which are harming not only you but the entire society. So today's program, which I'm sure it's very, very eye-opener and enlightening to the viewers, and it is brought to you live telecast by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon se Samvad Sarokar News, as well as was shown live on YouTube and Facebook. And our endeavor is to bring to you every day a very, very serious and current topic. But tomorrow being the Sunday, it is our edutainment. That is educational entertainment. And tomorrow, our media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. is Geet and Ghazal. And my singer guest is Braj Rasik JSR Madhukar, renowned devotional Sufi and Ghazal singer from Mumbai. So please tune in tomorrow for media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. and enjoy the Sunday with Geet and Ghazal. Thank you very much, Mr. Hariom Gandhi. Thank you very much, Dr. Thomas. Thank you very much, Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma. And thank you all the viewers for joining us and view all our programs as you are viewing. Thank you very much.